Welcome back everyone. So in today's video we will be talking about DBT and Databricks, and in particular we will be exploring whether DBT is necessary when our workloads are already on Databricks, and also we will be looking at scenarios where DBT can add a real value, especially in multi-platform environments. Okay, so this question I actually came about when I was reading through Reddit, and I found a number of questions where folks were wondering whether you do need DBT when you have Databricks as your platform. Okay, so again in this video we will be diving into some of these use cases, looking at scenarios where DBT is valuable when you are on Databricks, and situations where you don't really need DBT if you are on Databricks. Okay, so that's what we will be digging deeper into in this video. And so let's quickly look at Databricks as an environment. So Databricks already is a full platform. Okay, so what we mean by that is that Databricks provides a full data tech stack. Okay, so you can do data ingestion, end-to-end data ingestion. Okay, where you bring your data from whatever source it is, you ingest that data into Databricks environment and do transformation through the medallion architecture, right? So we are talking of ingesting data from the sources, you bring it into your bronze layer, it goes to silver, eventually to cold layer, and Databricks provides you all the tools that you need for that. Okay, you also get batch processing. If you want to process batch data, coming from your sources, or streaming data, machine learning, or a PI stuff, all of that is within Databricks. And some of the tools that help you with this, we are talking of DLT or leg flow pipelines. You have unit catalog where you can do a number of other things, including governance, and then SQL warehouse and workflows as well. So all of these features are available for you within Databricks. And so if you want to do your entire or you want to manage your entire data within the platform itself, Databricks actually is good for that. Okay, so again, Databricks already provides you with a full data tech stack. We're talking of ingestion via autoloader, transformation through Spark, SQL, Delta. You can also do orchestration via workflows and governance using unit catalog, right? So this means that we can build a complete pipeline without external tools like DBT or anything else, right? So that is the benefit of Databricks. And so if I look at this picture here, you can see this is just one of the pictures. There are a lot of architectural diagrams that you might see out there for data flows, but in this scenario here you can see that we have our sources here on the left side here, where you're ingesting your sources. Say it could be SAP, you have like databases, you might have RDBMS databases that you are ingesting your data from, or SaaS applications, mainframe files, and you can do this. So you can ingest this data into Databricks either through CDC. This gives you kind of almost real time. You can also do incremental loads. You can do patch loads as well into Databricks environment. So in this scenario, you might have a storage layer. You can have, if you have AWS, you can use S3 for that. If you are in Google platform, you can use Google Cloud Storage or Azure Blob Storage, right? If you are in Azure environment, and from there you can bring your data over to Databricks itself, and then go through the three layers, right? Bronze, silver, gold, and when you're doing that, you can be writing custom transformations using notebooks. PySpark is also heavy because Databricks is built on Spark, so you can be writing PySpark notebooks, even SQL as well. Databricks right now actually provides you with SQL syntax, right? So you can be writing SQL like queries within Databricks, transforming your data, doing all of that. Right, and we didn't mention that you can do automation, right? So you can do data lake automation where you're ingesting your data and orchestrating it with workflow jobs, or leg flow jobs as they call it now, right? You can do other things like data profiling. You can do machine learning on top of Databricks, or a catalog and lineage, where you can discover, govern, and protect your data, right? So if, for example, you can actually go to catalog within Databricks and see how a table is being used. So you can see where it's coming from and who is using that table. So you can see that lineage, and also you can do additional things like governance, where you can put access on who can access which table, who can use which compute cluster, all of those things, right? So all of that you can do within Databricks environment. And now once your data is all ready, you can have business intelligence tools like Power BI. I think Tableau can connect to Databricks. Click here, you can connect Click to Databricks, and from there you can have your business folks or other stakeholders that are using this data just consume the data directly from Databricks itself, right? So you can see this one, it provides you end-to-end platform where you can ingest your data, transform it, do workflows, orchestration, all of that within the platform itself, right? So that is just one thing, and you can see on the right side here, you can see just a quick example of a screenshot from leg flow pipelines. So you can have like your row here, and then you have another say notebook that has the code to transform your data to silver layer, and then maybe in code layer you can have another notebook that is doing putting the business logic in there as well, right? So you can do all of that and orchestrate it with leg flow jobs, right? And then now, let's look at when Databricks only makes sense, right? So that is if you want to use Databricks without the need of other tools. And I think we have just discussed a little bit about that, right? But just to talk more about this, right? So this is where you have all of your workloads running in Databricks. You have heavy PySpark or streaming transformations. So if you have, when you're ingesting your data and you think that, using the use of PySpark or Python, Pandas, and all of those things, if that is going to be useful for you, then and your team already uses all of these things already in transforming this data, then you can say I don't need anything else. Databricks actually gives you the features for that, and it makes sense to actually just use Databricks as a platform without additional tools, right? Consumers access data within Databricks environment itself, right? So I showed you that in this diagram up here, where you have your consumers or business folks just consuming the data directly from Databricks itself without having to go to other data warehouses, right? So in scenarios like that, then you can build everything within Databricks, and you can just use Databricks as a platform itself only, and that will give you all you need, right? If you have a small data engineering focused team, by this we mean that if you don't have analysts also doing additional transformation work, but you have a focused engineering team doing all of the ETL work, and this team, in most of the instances, may be the team that is responsible for ingesting data, building the workflows, and making sure that all the pipelines are running, they are maintained, they are running as desired, best practice, and all of those things. So if you have a small focus team, then it might make sense to use Databricks, because DBT, a tool like DBT is usually useful if you have analysts who are writing select statements and they are not very much comfortable with, let's say, Python or PySpark, so they're just SQL developers, right? So if you have an engineering focused team, not analysts, doing all of the work within Databricks, then you may not need DBT necessarily, right? And using Unity Catalog for governance, right? So if you're using Unity Catalog for governance, I mean, this is like governing who accesses what and all of those things, then Databricks may make sense as the only tool, and you may not need to bring any additional tool, right? Now let's see why DBT may not always be needed, right? So and this kind of goes back to the point of why Databricks only might be the only thing that you need, right? So why DBT is not always needed, especially if you are on a Databricks environment. So one of the reasons here is it duplicates many native Databricks capabilities. So if you have worked DBT, you can know that one of the selling points for DBT obviously is collaborating with others, and also being able to build modular models, and also includes testing. You want to test your pipeline and enforce that, right? So Databricks provides you all of those capabilities. So you can have, if you want to test your pipelines, or if you want to test your data and enforce data quality within Databricks, then what DBT provides you, also Databricks does that. So if you're doing quality checks, you can have expectations within your notebooks, and that enforces you know, and make sure that your data is tested you know, pretty much well before you send it out to consumers. If you bring DBT to Databricks, it may add complexity because this is another tool, and you will end up maintaining it differently. The DBT has a different syntax, and if you're trying to use it with Databricks asset bundles, it might work, but you might run into situations where it's a bit complex, right? Because you know, if you're using DBT as a transformation tool, it's much easier to have it as a standalone tool. But if you mix and match it with Databricks asset bundles, and you know, you want to bring, you know, you have ingestion within your environment, and it's CI/CD for Databricks data coming into Databricks, and then, you know, on top of that you're bringing in DBT, then it might be confusing, right? It might bring additional complexity, which may not be necessary for your environment, right? So you may not always want that. It also requires new CI/CD setup and training, right? So here, if you don't have folks in your team already that are DBT savvy, if they don't know DBT, then you know, you may not want to bring that tool, right? Especially if you're in Databricks, right? Because you have folks who already know SQL, but they may not know how to use DBT, because the DBT syntax is a little bit different, although it's not hard to learn, right? But you know, somebody has to go and learn. But if you have a team that, you know, folks are not willing to learn a new tool like DBT, then yeah, it may not make sense to always bring DBT in the picture, because again, Databricks environment provides you with pretty much everything you need. So, you know, setting up the CI/CD and trying to integrate it with Databricks itself may be a bit complex. So that might be another reason why you might not want to bring DBT. And then finally here we have DBT is not optimized for PySpark or streaming. So DBT, again, is not an ingestion tool. It is SQL heavy. So DBT models are pretty much select statements, right? So you're selecting from table and doing transformation joins and all of that. So if you want to do any PySpark or a streaming data, then DBT is not going to help out, right? So at the end of the day, if you want to ingest your data into Databricks environment, you will still need to use you know these tools like PySpark, Python, you know, ingesting your data from APIs and all of that, or even bringing the data from a storage layer like S3 or Google Cloud Storage into Databricks environment itself. DBT cannot do that for you. So you will still need to bring the data itself into Databricks if you want to use DBT. But why use DBT when Databricks itself can do all of this, especially in situations where you're doing this streaming and PySpark heavy kind of stuff, right? So yeah, so the DBT may not always be a necessary tool for scenarios like that. Okay, so these are some of the reasons. I'm sure there are more of why you may not want to have DBT in the picture if you are on a Databricks environment. All right, now let's take a look at DBT. What are the strengths? What are the strengths of DBT? Right. So DBT is a great tool. DBT is a wonderful tool. I've used it. I love it. And you know, if you want to use it, I highly recommend that you use it. But you want to use it in an environment where it excels best, right? So, and Databricks may not be that environment, or if Databricks is, I mean, there are use cases where it might excel in Databricks. But let's look at the strengths here. So the first one here is DBT is SQL fast. So this one will be very friendly for analysts, right? So I didn't mention that DBT is heavy select statements. So if you have analysts who are comfortable with SQL, then DBT is going to be a great tool for them, especially once they learn the syntax, right? So DBT, one of the strengths here, SQL first. And then the other one here is a modular layered modeling. So this is scenarios where you want to modularize your modeling. You have staging schemas, or you have staging models, and from there you can bring your data over to data mats, right? So if you have a data mat for marketing, finance, or I don't know, could be what other things, right? Any mats that you have within your data environment, right? So you can segregate all of these things, and DBT will make it very easy for you to do that, because you can create folders for all of these mats, and then segregate the data for those individual mats, and then even the models as well. So it makes it much easier for you to spread out things and classify things accordingly. And when you run your models, it's going to be much easier to use, and it's more readable for you. It's easier to make changes. So in scenarios like that, DBT excels pretty well. DBT also comes with built-in tests for data quality, right? So if you're talking of let's say null tests, unique tests, relationships with other models, just to make sure that something exists in other models. So all these are built in within DBT, and you may not need to do any additional data quality. So you just tell the model what to check for, and it's going to do it for you automatically, right? And then auto lineage and doc site. Okay, so this is something that DBT comes with. It comes with docs generate, DBT docs generate, and that gives you a UI where you can see how your data is linked together. So it can gives you, the lineage, kind of similar to what we saw in Databricks, right? And this Databricks also provides this. When you go to Unity Catalog and go to a table, it gives you the lineage of how data has traveled, or what is the lineage, where it's coming from, where it's going, and things like that. So DBT provides you something similar. And then here, strong Git-based workflows. So you can use version control environments like GitHub, Bitbucket. So DBT integrates very well with these environments, and that is the other thing that is useful with DBT, because if you are collaborating with a team or a group of people working on different projects, and everybody doing different features or transformations, then you can use GitHub as your version control environment, and the DBT integrates very well with this, right? So that these are some of the DBT strengths, and I'll put a link for DBT, the documentation website for DBT, and you can go and read further about DBT if you're interested, right? But these are some of the strengths that DBT comes with, right? So then let's look at when DBT adds value, right? If you're in Databricks, let's look at when DBT adds a real value in your environment, right? So one of the use case that DBT may be useful is if you have multi-platform setups, and in this scenario we are talking of Snowflake and Databricks, or you are using Snowflake and BigQuery, or Snowflake Redshift. In scenarios like that, DBT might add additional value when you're doing something like that, right? One other point here where DBT adds value is analysis on transformations. Okay, so if you do have within your team analysts, and these analysts are still using Databricks to do transformations, so DBT might help them out when they are doing that transformation, right? So let's say a scenario where you have your data getting ingested up to silver layer, and then the cold layer, now analysts come in and they do the transformations. Then for cases like that, they might just decide to use DBT to get the data from silver and then transform it into cold layer. So that's something that might be of a value if you're using DBT, and they might like DBT easier than, I mean much better than using Databricks Notebook, right? So it will just come down to what your team likes to use. And then the other value here is standardized modeling across platforms. All right, so if you have, again, this cross or multi-platform setups, and you want to standardize modeling across them, then you can use DBT, and DBT is going to standardize for you. And DBT has its own structure, and that structure, once you get used to it, is much easier to use. It's much easier to make changes, and that's something that might be help for you if you want to use DBT, especially in these multi-platform setups, right? And then the other point here is governance and test enforcement. So if you want to easily govern and test your data sets, and especially on this test enforcement piece of it, right? If you want to test your data thoroughly before you send it out, then DBT will work well. Now, with governance, it will come down to also the data warehouse that you're using and how you are enforcing and giving access to that. Now, Databricks actually excels very well with this, because with Unity Catalog you can do this enforcement within the environment itself. So this is also kind of a point that is advantage also when using Databricks. And then finally here we have here need for reusable business logic, right? So if you have business logic that needs to be reused, then a DBT is also a good tool for that. All right. So in these cases, again, DBT provides structure, standardization, and governance. It makes it easy to reuse business rules and ensure consistent quality across different platforms and teams. All right. So that is one thing that you. These are some of the points that may push you towards adding DBT into your environment. But again, these are not the only points. There are a lot of other points, and also it comes down to, how your environment is set up. So if you have these multi-platform environments, then a DBT might be of use. Again, another use case for this one is, say you want to push your data over to a warehouse like Snowflake, for example, and you want to ingest the data to Databricks. So you want to ingest the data to Databricks, do basic transformations, and push the data to Silver. You can decide that instead of doing anything else on top of that, you can write your workflows up to Silver layer, and then you push that data over to Snowflake, and then in Snowflake now you can have DBT. So you can have DBT now set up separately, which is going to be picking the data from Snowflake tables, which will be the equivalent of your Silver, and then Pure on top of that provides you with the final tables now in your code layer, and that can be in Snowflake itself. Now that might be useful if your consumers or your business stakeholders are going to be consuming the data from Snowflake. But again, if everything is in Databricks, then you may not want to buy additional license for Snowflake, because Snowflake and Databricks are two complete companies. So if you want to use them, you will have to pay the licenses. So if you don't want to go about buying those expensive licenses, you might just decide, okay, let me just go ahead and use Databricks as an environment, and it's going to give you all you need. Or you can decide to use Snowflake only as your data warehouse and have DBT as transformation layer, and then decide how you want to bring your data in. Again, Snowflake also integrates very well with storage layers, so you can see how you want to ingest your data up to S3. And even for streaming cases, Snowflake now has matured pretty well, so it can also ingest streaming data into the environment as well. So it's up to you as a business or as a person how you want to go about this. But you can see here, if you want to mix and match, then DBT might add value if again you are on Databricks and another platform like Snowflake or a BigQuery, right? And now let's look at an example of a hybrid architecture, right? So this is a situation where DBT and Databricks might be of use, right? So you want to do some stuff in DBT and then some stuff in Databricks. How does that architecture look like? So in scenarios like that, you can have your DLT inches come through from the sources all the way up to Silver, and I think I've spoken a bit about this point. So you can have DLT ingested data from raw to Silver, and then that data stays in Databricks, and then instead of continuing with Databricks notebooks doing the additional code layer, you can have DBT. So DBT can come in from Silver and then pull the code or business models within the Databricks environment itself. And then now you have a DBX or a Databricks asset bundles with the help of Databricks CI/CD. You can do all of that. Databricks can handle the rest of that and deploy it through Databricks jobs. Maybe with the help of asset bundles as well, if you like, right? And then optionally, you can publish the data now to Snowflake for PI. So in this scenario, what happens is everything still stays within Databricks, and the only thing that you're pushing to Snowflake is your final data, right? So you can have a step at the end of your pipeline where the final data in your cold schema is going to a Snowflake. And then in Snowflake now, business can come and just use that data for business intelligence purposes, right? So again, I think I did mention this point that you may not always want to buy. I mean, it comes down to your use cases, but just remember that the Databricks and Snowflake require you to buy their licenses. So if you're okay with that cost, then you can go ahead and do that. Or if your company has made huge investments on on Snowflake, and you don't want to get rid of that, and you still want to use it, then maybe that's something that you can leverage, right? So again, this is a scenario where you have analysts also who are who wants to do the transformation, within cold layer itself. So from there you can have data engineers build and ingest the pipelines up to maybe Silver or even cold in some scenarios, and then from there you can have DBT take over and do the rest of the work, right? This is not the only use case. I'm sure there are a lot of other use cases. Personally, I've never used DBT with Databricks, so do let me know in the comment section how you are using DBT with Databricks. I'm sure everybody will benefit out of that. Again, I did see a lot of this discussion in Reddit, and there was a lot of mixed reviews and points about that. There are people who love to use DBT within Databricks. There are those who think that DBT is not very useful. Personally, I think DBT is not necessary if you're on Databricks, but that's just my opinion. So let me know what you think, right? Okay, so again, just about this point, right? So this hybrid model here, we are using Databricks for ingestion and heavy lifting, and then layer DBT on top of business-facing models, testing and documentation. And if needed, those curated models can be published into Snowflake for consumption, or you can publish it to BigQuery or Redshift, whichever data warehouse you're using, right? All right, so this is just one example of hybrid. It comes down to what you have set up and what you like doing. But again, personally, I think DBT may not be a necessary tool if you're on Databricks environment, right? Okay, now let's go back to, let's go to this next slide here for decision guide. Okay, so this one I've put here some decision guide for you to help you, when you may need DBT or not, right? So the scenario number one here is if all of your workloads are in Databricks, then DBT may not be needed, right? So you don't really need DBT for that. That is if you are running everything in Databricks, including consumption, right? If you have heavy PySpark or streaming pipelines within Databricks, then you may not need a DBT because there's no DBT won't do all of these streaming pipelines. DBT is just a transformation tool. It's not going to bring data for you. It's not going to ingest data for you. You'll not be able to use DBT to ingest data from APIs or even Kafka or anything like that. So for that, you may just want to continue using Databricks environment for that workload, and DBT may not be of much help there, right? And then again, consumers stay inside Databricks. That is if your consumers either are consuming the data within Databricks and building intelligence within Databricks environment, because actually you can build business dashboards within Databricks. So if that's the case, then you may not need DBT. Or if your consumers are using like tools like Power BI, Tableau, or a Click like we saw earlier, and they are just hitting the code layer directly in Databricks catalog, right? So if they're just connecting to the final table within Databricks and then they go ahead and build their dashboards, then you may not necessarily need DBT for that either, right? So these are some of the scenarios that may not necessarily help you if you have DBT. And then the last three here, if you are on multi-platform, or if you're on multi-platform, and that is if you have, say, combination of Databricks, Snowflake, Databricks, BigQuery, Databricks, Redshift, or Databricks, and any other warehouse that you use, and you want to integrate DBT in that scenario. I think I walked through, a few of those use cases where, say, you want DBT to take over the transformation for code layer, or you can push Silver to your warehouse, and then from there you can go and build DBT on top of those Silver tables, or even staging tables, and then do the transformations. Then yeah, DBT might be of help there. The other thing here is if you have analyst-driven SQL-focused models, that's mostly select statements on your data, right? And nothing else is being done. Then yeah, DBT can be a great tool to use there. And then finally here, if you need standardized tests, docs, lineage, then DBT can be helpful here as well. Now, okay, this point here, Databricks also excels with this. Databricks contains tools that help you with documentation. It gives you data quality, how to do data quality, and also even lineage as well. There are a great amount of tools within Databricks that help you with this. So this is a point that is both advantage for both Databricks and DBT. But again, if you need this, then DBT might be a helpful tool to have in your stack right here. All right, and then finally, let's go over to the key takeaways now. All right, so the key takeaways here, Databricks is a full lakehouse platform. Okay, so it comes with everything you need, and therefore DBT is optional. You don't really need DBT because the environment itself contains pretty much everything you need, right? Okay, so the next point here is DBT adds value in multi-platform, analyst-driven, governance-heavy use cases, right? So I think we discussed also this point a bit. If you are using Databricks with Snowflake, Databricks with another warehouse like Redshift, or with BigQuery, then DBT might be helpful to have there. All right, and then the last point here is choose based on team skill set, complexity, and compliance. All right, so if you have analysts who are working on this environment and they just want to write SQL statements, then yeah, DBT might be helpful. However, if you do have engineering team that do not work mostly with SQL statements, but rather PySpark, streaming work, Python heavy work, then yeah, maybe DBT may not be of help here, and they might benefit more just working within Databricks, building notebooks and orchestrating them with workflows. All right, so that is the bottom line. DBT is not a mandatory tool in Databricks environments. It's useful if you want to standardize modeling and governance across platforms, but if you are all in on Databricks already, then you can confidently run without using DBT in Databricks. Alright guys, so that's all I had for you in this video. I just quickly wanted to go through a high-level overview of why you may not necessarily need DBT if you are running on Databricks. And I saw this question on Reddit, and I thought maybe I can add my voice to it. But again, if you guys are heavy on DBT and want to integrate it to Databricks, do let me know how you have integrated it with your environment and how it's coming along, right? Alright, so that's all I had for you in this video. I hope it was helpful, and if it was, please give it a thumbs up, and if you have not subscribed to the channel, please do subscribe so that you can be updated the next time I release videos like this. Alright, bye bye.